Good. How you guys doing today? Staying warm?
Yeah, dude, glad to not be on the road. Are your kids home from school today?
Yeah, they're home from school. Yeah, obviously I'm at work though.
Right. Hey, we talked a lot so far about different formations, not being reliant on Lucas. I'm just curious, just did you get a sense after the season talking with him if that had an effect on him, just maybe it weighed on him a bit? He felt like he had to carry the team. Obviously, he finished the season excellent, but I was just curious if that kind of came through and maybe led to decisions of trying to take some weight off of him.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I never said that we weren't going to be reliant on Lucas. We certainly will be reliant on Lucas. It's just what I said was that if he's not able to play, we still need to find ways to be effective and win games. And so ultimately we felt, looking at our 1-2 in the depth chart, looking at, our style of play a little bit, how we wanted to make a few adjustments. And then of course, a part of the equation is where can Lucas best be effective within our team, because we need him to be effective when he plays in order to have the best chance to win. So all that went into the equation of kind of looking at shifting his role. Not that we'll do it every game, but we want to be flexible, like I said, tactically. But don't get me wrong, Lucas Zellerman is going to be a key player for us. And obviously, when he plays well, we have a much better chance to win.
Thank you, Caleb. Next, we'll go to Thomas Costello, followed by Pat Murphy.
Thanks for the time, Coach. I appreciate it. On the club now, how are existing wingers like Matan, Diaz, and Etienne dealing with, the incoming pressure of Yeboah joining the team and now another role open with Pedro Santos moving back to a fullback role?
That's normal. That's a normal part of the job. So they're dealing with it in a very normal way. They're professionals, and ultimately, there's always, every single day and every single week, there's an audition for parts, and in the off season, there's always new signings. And ultimately, it's not up to me; it's up to the players and how they perform, and of course, how the chemistry and the pieces fit together, and what system and structure we're utilizing will determine a little bit maybe who ends up getting those parts on the weekend for the play. But that's just a normal part of this job that they're fully aware of every single year, that there's new players in, some players out, and there's always competition.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Pat Murphy, followed by Clay Hall.
Hey, Caleb, good to see you. Hopefully staying warm. You talked several times last year about kind of the adjustment to lower.com field when you guys were so used to and had such a history at historic Crew Stadium. I'm curious now, going to year two, how much more comfortable you think that will be getting off to a good start. Bez said he's hopeful that you guys get a good crowd even for the cold opening day. Just what will it be like to have that as your true home all the way through the year in year two?
Yeah, it'll be great, obviously. But I think we ended well, and so ultimately we don't look at this year being this new start. I thought we ended really well in the new stadium. Our record shows that, our performances show that. So we're going to build off the end of the year. I think the psychology, the feeling, now that, understanding of ultimately, how that stadium needs to be a fortress like historic Crew Stadium was, we're already there. So I expect us to hit the ground running just like we were at the end of the year, and even better. But it's a great stadium. Obviously, we love it, and I think the better we play, the more we win. Obviously, the more fans we'll get. We expect to have a good crowd in that first game, and our goal is going to be, like always, to get 3 points.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Clay Hall, followed by Justin Holbrook.
Hey, Caleb, what do you think the biggest maybe off-season change or advancement or addition that you've made, or you're most excited about, a new wrinkle, et cetera? what's the biggest leap maybe you made from last year to the start of this?
Yeah, good question. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of wrinkles. We have new staff. We have new players. We have, we're turned over 9 to 10 players, and we've added 9 to 10 players. So a lot is new. Some things we're working on training are new. Systems we're looking at are new. A little bit the emphasis on our style of play is slightly different. So I'm enjoying it. Obviously, it's year 4 of the cycle with this group. We have largely the core returning, but we have a lot of new players, and you're going to see a lot of new things out of this group. There's just new blood, new hunger. I saw it on the first day.
Yeah.
It's just a different group, a different year, and everybody's working extremely hard. Everybody's very excited to start the year the right way, and every day is a competition with the depth that we have. So if we stay healthy, our signings obviously will eventually get here. It's going to be every week interesting who ends up getting the job on the weekend. They're probably going to be 6, 7 guys that you always know will be in if they're healthy, and there might be 4 or 5 that change based on performances, based on what we decide to do in the game. And I think every guy on this team knows they have to train well and play well, or they may not get a job on the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Next, we'll go to Justin Holbrook from NBC4, followed by Jacob Myers.
Hey, Caleb. 2020 threw everything off. Timelines were moved. So last year you guys started in April. What challenges present when you have to start in February as opposed to when you started last year? And how do you get the team ready to start well, like you said, and not have to maybe play behind the 8 ball, so to speak?
Yeah, I think the timing of this year starting really early helps the teams that didn't make the playoffs, because ultimately, if it's later, that offseason is too long. The teams that went really far at the end are the ones that are probably, going to have to be very careful mentally and physically. But for us, it was perfect timing to get back. We really felt, I think, with the way the year ended, obviously us falling short, but playing really well and get 3 wins in a row, that, we couldn't start soon enough, and we couldn't get back to work soon enough. And like I said, there was just, you could feel it, a hunger in this group to start the year that was very different than last year after we won MLS Cup. Some of that psychology is just natural, but you can see these guys know coming in that it's going to be a different year. And I think they like that there are some tweaks, there's some changes, there's some new faces and players and staff and new ideas, and I'm loving that as well. So it's been good to this point. We've had 2 friendlies, against perhaps opponents that maybe didn't challenge us as much as maybe the Charleston trip. But both of those games we played extremely well. We scored goals, and execution was outstanding. So we'll have another game Saturday. We had another week of training after a little break, and hopefully we can keep building every single week. And in Charleston, we'll approach it like a tournament. Results will matter a little bit more, and we'll get ready for that first game by having that mindset. We do have some players that are going to be trickling in. Yaboa is in training possibly Friday, Saturday. But Charleston should be in at the start as we build towards that first game. Same with Milos, same with Igbekeme. But we're setting our group, right now as if those guys aren't here, and that's the way we're going to approach every week. We're not going to be a prisoner of a guy being injured or guys not here or guys on international duty. Ultimately, we're going to find ways to win games no matter who's in the lineup.
Thank you.
Thanks, Caleb. Next, we'll go to Jacob Myers, followed by Pat Murphy. And if you would like a final question after that, click the raise hand button.
Caleb, just going back to the winger spot, what have you seen out of Matan, Diaz, and Etienne so far this preseason, knowing that you're going to need all three of those guys to really take a step up this year?
Yeah, I think you're seeing a lot of the same things you always see with those guys. They are who they are to some extent. The older you get, obviously Matan's a little bit younger. Luis a little bit younger to this league. Derek's been around a little longer. You see as guys get older, less development, more of can they bring what they're good at. And, they're all different, right? Derek's a very hardworking player, very good pressing player, honest. You know what you get. There are times you want a little bit more in the final third. We continue to work on him with that. Luis Diaz is obviously a stretching guy, very pacey, similar, need a little bit more final third, and decision making. Both are a threat physically. Matan's different in that probably a little bit more precision and technical ability in around the final third, but not quite as dynamic, obviously. So it's a little bit pick your poison. They are who they are a little bit, but we try to always, with every player, highlight their strengths, but continue to improve their areas that they need to improve in. But I think with those three, you can set up the game plan, set up a little bit the group where it highlights their strengths a bit more, versus just always looking for the weaknesses to be better. But our environment and training, always we're trying to improve guys. And yet you have to pick a group to win the game, and it's going to be tighter for anybody to play, including those three for sure. But it's up to them. It's up to the training, and it's up to their performances. The opportunities there for them, and we know we have different qualities in each, and we know we have obviously competition as well. So I'm enjoying that. I feel like those are tough decisions that I enjoy making. The alternative is making decisions where you don't feel like you have anybody that can perform. And I think the decision is going to be easy because we're picking guys that are performing or being able to execute what we want.
Thank you, Caleb. For our final question, we'll go to Pat Murphy.
Caleb, speaking of some potentially tough decisions this year, the depth at center back, especially veteran guys, experienced guys, you've talked before about you like to have continuity with those two or three, I guess. How do you see that kind of working out now that you have more options there, guys that I'm sure you could trust maybe than some of the younger guys that you've had in the past?
Yeah, we need stability there. We have a lot of young players in other positions, especially in the center of the midfield. We have 4 homegrown 6s and 8s. Got a young guy in Will Sands at left back. We got some young guys on the wing. Miguel Berry's a young player up top. So I like with a mix of young guys that are going to get some time, maybe right out of the gates, to have stability and experience in our central defender positions. That will allow a Sean Sawatsky to be able to play, and not have to carry the team, but just to play a role and knowing you have 2 experienced guys behind him, or a Will Sands, for instance, he's got good experienced guys around him. Because we plan to be a lot younger this year, frankly. And with that means we need to be patient, but also can we put a couple young guys in with a bunch of experienced guys? That gives them the best chance, and also our team the best chance. So that was the thought behind obviously moving Buba and bringing in Milos and Jaleel. Because we knew we'd have some young guys playing in and around those 2 central defenders. And I'm not even talking about the goalkeepers as well, but it's probably a year or 2 away for those 2 guys, depending on obviously where, Aloy and Evan are health-wise.
Thank you, Caleb. This is going to conclude the